So moving on here with chapter 8, we're going to talk about returning objects from methods. This is page 503, and it barely takes up any space at all. And for any of you who have had me in previous classes, you know that I believe very strongly in the inverse important ratio of textbooks and concepts, right? So the less amount of time a textbook spends talking about something, probably the more important it is. I would, just as a caution here, I would rename 8.3 creating objects as returns from methods. So what we see here on page 503, 4, and 5 is the following idea. And I'm just going to look right here on the code. So this is code listing 8.7. And this is it. I mean, it is literally 46 lines of code in all. And what essentially we're talking about is this. So we have here, this is essentially our main, right? Starting on line 10. And what we're saying is we have bank account called account. So bank account here would be our class, right? And we've got a name that we're giving it here, account. So we could do this with like an integer or a double or a string, and that would look fine, right? But when we are creating new objects, when we are instantiating new objects, this is not the nomenclature that we usually use. And that's because what we see here in line 15 is the new wrinkle we're giving you here in 8.3. The new wrinkle is account equals get account. So get account, you see we've got the open and close parentheses there. So that means that this is making a call out to a method. So here we go. Public static bank account get account is our method. So here bank account indicates that get account is going to return a type, and that return type is going to be a bank account object. So we've got a string for input, we've got a double for balance, and we've got a J option pane that's going to say enter an account balance. So we're going to parse a double from that string input, and we're going to store that back here into balance. So we've already done that in previous chapters. Here's where the new wrinkle comes along. Once we have that balance, that's all we need to create a new object of the class bank account. So what we're going to do is return a new bank account object, and we're going to pass to it balance. So what happens here on line 44 is as follows. We are, as soon as we're done with this statement block inside of our method, we have to return something back up here to line 15 so that we can assign that return value to account. So what we're going to do is return, but first create a new bank account object. And you're going to instantiate that. You're going to use the constructor there, which is going to require that you pass a balance along. So what this does is it creates a new bank account, and it's going to return that reference, and that reference is going to be stored here inside of account. So from here on out, if we were to run this program longer, every time we refer to the bank account object called account, what we're going to be referring to is the new bank account object that was created when we called it here. What I'll tell you is, and that is it, I mean literally, that the rest of the 2 pages here are just spent telling you exactly what I told you there, is we're making a new bank account object here, and we're referring to it henceforth as account. This is of limited value to you right here in the kind of scope that they give you. But if you think about it, what happens if we gave you an array or an array list of objects? And in those objects, you could have bank account objects. And you can loop through your array or your array list. You can loop through and create a whole bunch of bank account objects, boom, 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 in really rapid succession. That turns out to be a really powerful way to do that. So really returning objects from methods, yeah, I mean, absolutely, that's the case here. Line 44 legitimately returns a bank account, so that's an object, from this get account method. But the big wrinkle here is it's returning a new bank account based on the actions that were undertaken here inside of get account. So really what we're doing is we are using an object as our return type as part of an instance of an object here inside of our main. So that's the sticky part of that, and we'll actually see it in a code sample video here that follows.